of you know me as Gail Baker, but today I am Ed McMahon, and I want to welcome all of you to our very special version of The Tonight Show, starring our own Johnny Carson, Dr. Michael Sack. Most of you have probably met our new rabbi, but today you are really going to get to know him. Following our show today, lunch will be served in Abrams Hall, but now, without further ado, here's Johnny.
Well, it's good to be back. Don't ask me where I've been, but it was a long time ago that I said goodbye and a fateful farewell. But it's great to be back. The problem is I don't have any writers, I don't have Tommy Newsom, I don't have Doc Severinsen, and I have Ed McMahon. And so therefore I don't have a monologue. May a toothless yak gum your grandmother's wheat thins. All right, so without further ado, we're going to bring out our first guest. Is a guy that I think most of you know or know of, but the purpose of today is to interview Rabbi Adam Wright. Okay, we'll put you in the hot seat over here. Great to see you. It's great to be here. Yeah, we know a lot about you. So, where are you from originally?
I'm from Michigan. I had to make the first sanctuary joke. Do you hear me? When I want to sound tough, I'll say Detroit, but I'm from the suburbs of Detroit. You can say I'm from Mountain Brook of West Bloomfield, Michigan.
Bloomfield, yeah. Bloomfield Hills, yeah. Know it. Went to high school there?
West Bloomfield High School.
Yeah, was that a good place?
That's okay.
What'd you do besides just studying things?
I really didn't study. No, I'm saying.
Yeah. You were a late bloomer.
Late bloom. I was in college. I played 4 years of high school tennis. I really don't know much, remember most of high school. That doesn't mean anything, but my mom says I'm 37 going on 80, so high school seems 45 years ago.
So college, where?
I was recruited to play college tennis many places. I ended up going to Wheaton College in Norton, Massachusetts. The story behind this was December break, I got many recruits from D1 to D3, and we were flying to Florida, and my mom sat in the middle between Gail Burson, who was the director of admission, and her husband, Jay Goodman, of blessed memory, was professor of political science, and I was sitting in the aisle. I have, you know, the U pillow? Yeah. I was sawing wood and everything, and then my mom goes, I think he got recruited, and following week I came back, Coach Miller called me, and the rest is history.
I did not know that. So while you were playing tennis there, tell me, do you have any friends?
In college, as I like to say, you really, in my belief, you really don't maintain strong high school friends, but college friends become the people that will be your most loyal, passionate friends for life. And so it was there I met a few good friends who I remain close with every day. We actually have a text group that we always talk, and sometimes after Shabbat services, they'll
bet on football games?
We don't bet on football games. We just go after each other. One's a Giants fan, one's a Red Sox fan. It'll be like 175 text messages when I come back.
Right. And their names are?
I have two, Mike and Scott. Mike's a lacrosse player. He's getting married in 3 weeks. I'm doing the wedding.
Awesome.
And Scott's my other best friend.
So this might be a good time, because we're short on time,
Sure.
just to bring in one of the favorites that I think people know is, anybody here of Karnak? Anybody want to see Karnak? Not that I need this, but... all right. Let me tell you how this works.
Sure.
I am Karnak the Magnificent. I will divine from these 3 hermetically sealed envelopes that have been on the front yard of Funkin' Wagnalls. Hermetically sealed since 12 noon today. Eastern time. So we're ready to go. We'll see how this works.
Okay.
Ed, you ready?
Ready.
Might need to come to the microphone. Need complete silence in the room. Sis, boom, bop.
Sis, boom, bop.
That's what I said. What are the sounds made when Allied bombs hit a sheep herd in Normandy?
Sis, boom, bop.
May an intensely pruritic disease and rash invade your groin permanently. Bathroom, flood, fire department.
Bathroom, flood, fire department.
Isn't that what I said?
That's what you said.
What happened when Rabbi Wright inadvertently clogged the toilet on the 2nd floor in his college apartment? I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. And our last envelope. May eternal bliss fill your trousers for the rest of eternity. Champagne, roses, and chocolate.
Champagne, roses, and chocolate.
What did the management of Chatham Bars Inn send Rabbi Wright and his friend Michael when they roomed together for their friend's wedding after Adam complained he found a man's hair in the bathtub? Okay, now we have something to talk about.
Sure.
Let's start with the toilet and the clogged apartment. How'd that happen? I guess I can guess that. All right, so that was your responsibility? You were in charge of that?
It was, we lived in a house called 11 Howard, and half tennis, half lacrosse. It was an old house in Norton, Massachusetts, great location. And had to go to the bathroom. They don't make toilets like they used to. And I mean, this was a bad toilet. And, and the water started to...
Right, so we've all done that. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
but
not
the
me.
problem was, though, the chamber pot really couldn't maintain the water. And the flooding went in the bathroom and then went on the wood floor in the house and then leaked all the way through, which triggered the fire alarm, which and then two fire trucks came, and I was terrified.
I'm not aware of all the equipment that's on a fire truck, but it's pointed. Is that one of the things that's said?
I tried, but
They just hosed it out real good. Okay, but I'm equally curious about this champagne, roses, and champagne at the Chatham Bar Inn in Cape Cod.
So, if those have been my office or my home, I'm very neat. And when Scott decided to get married, he decided to get married at a very fancy hotel. Does anyone know this hotel in the Cape?
Yeah.
And it was a 3-night minimum. It was like $600 to $700 a night, and it's a lot of money. So Mike and I decided that we'd go have roommates, even though we're both adults. And When I walked into the bathroom, there was a
It
lot
was
of...
unclean.
It was unclean. There's types of hairs that surely indicated that it came from another person. And I called the office in order to get a little accommodations here.
Yeah, so they...
Everyone in this room would have done the same thing, correct?
I know several people who would have just moved 3 times. Yeah, but they must have thought you were a couple, sending you champagne, roses, and chocolate, and they gave you a personal cabana, I understand.
I'll tell you a true story about that.
Please.
Scott, you'll meet Scott and Mike. The 3 of us are very close. So the first night, it was we went out to dinner, and then second night, they got married, and that's when Scott and Ann, this was the first night together as a wedding couple, and they had one more night together. So Scott decided that he was going to miss us so much that the 3 of us actually spent the room together.
Oh,
And then after that, he hasn't worn a wedding band ever since. So
so you said you're very close.
we're best friends. It's you would never believe it. And it's really nice to Scott. He can give you a deal on all the key access coming into this building.
Awesome.
So, yeah, that's his job.
All right, so continuing your life story,
Sure.
you go to graduate school at Vanderbilt, right? And you study...
Second Temple Judaism, which is another way of saying the historical Jesus. Yes.
Historical Jesus.
The historical Jesus.
And everyone may not know this about him, you may not have read his CV, but he wrote a book that I'm going to promote right here. It's called something about scriptures.
Always a #1 bestseller.
The thing that impresses me most about this is the open line. How much better can a book start than in the beginning?
I want a #1 bestseller, you got to get the tagline.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost as good. It was the best of times, worst of times, or beginning of Hamlet, who's there? I mean, in the beginning. That's pretty clever.
I would say so. Keeps on selling quite well.
Yeah. And so from graduate school, you decide you're going to go to rabbinic school.
That was always the plan, but my second year I had a change of course. I had, as my wife would say, I had the most disgusting hairstyle humanly possible is down to here. Now that, she would take that in a second. So, and graduate school was a bunch of people who thought they know everything. And rabbinic school, most of the time is you ask questions, and so I really didn't like graduate students in the humanities. I think there's something about it that rubbed me the wrong way, so I decided to work for that person over there, Linda Gutchin, as her intern. I taught 6th grade Hebrew, and that's when I saw Southern Judaism first. I saw a progressive, cutting-edge congregation in the South, and I realized that this is something that I wanted to do, so I put aside getting my PhD, and I went directly into rabbinic.
So the crossroads for you was academic direction or rabbinic congregation?
It was always, I wanted to be a professorial rabbi, but I didn't really want to be a college professor that second year. And I did teach at USC in rabbinic school, and that made me also believe that teaching the academy was very difficult to do.
Yeah. So now you just put all your rabbinic and academic things on us on Fridays for 20 minutes. I get it. So if you're wondering where those sermons come from, now you know.
Sermon.org. No. Haven't been caught yet. So.
We'll check that out. And then Israel?
Israel.
For a year.
For a year.
Like all rabbinic students do.
You can place out of it, but they don't recommend it. So
yeah, so that was a fun time.
It was an interesting time. I can tell you that. My second night in Jerusalem, my apartment was so bad that I remember when my mom
How bad was it?
So I remember when my mom came in and she looked at it, and my cousin Yossi, he's from Southfield, Michigan, and it's like the Brooklyn, and it's very Orthodox, and he came to say, this is a great apartment. It wasn't. And so we walked in, all the mold and water damage, and my mom was so horrified. She just went up to this couch and sat like this, the entire time, and smiled for me. Anyway, but she was saying the David Citadel, which is next to the Hebrew Union College, and I was actually walking back because I tried to avoid the apartment as much as possible. And I had long hair, and when I was walking home, across the street is Derech Rehavia. I don't know if you, Derech Aza and Rehavia. That's like the Mountain Brook of Jerusalem. Anyway, so, not my apartment. Anyways, when I crossed the street, it was like 11:30 at night, 2 police officers pulled me over and said, they're going to get me for jaywalking. So they said that I matched the suspect of someone who's trying to steal a car. And I said to them, someone with long hair and freckles, you know, is actually trying to break into someone's car. And they start going through my stuff. And their squad car was right by that computer, and they were right here. And next thing you know, across the street, there's the guy that fit my... And so they ran back, and then they forgot their keys or something like that. And they said, welcome to Israel, we hope you stay.
I'm just curious, so that mold from water damage, that wasn't from a toilet upstairs. Just check. So then back to Michigan, or you had to get to LA somehow.
Yes.
You didn't go to Cincinnati.
No, I didn't go to Cincinnati and Clifton Way. No, I didn't do it. I know some people have some connection here, but LA is the best school to become a rabbi.
So how did you end up getting to LA?
So my parents got me my Jetta, the 2009 Jetta, which I... What? Black?
Black.
With the leatherette material, and I told my mother that I had to do this rite of passage where I had to drive from Michigan to California, and she thought I was nuts, but I had to learn from my experiences like good parents teach their kinderloch. And she says, I will pay for you, I'll pay for it to get flatbed, it was $1,000, don't put the miles on the car, you don't need to do this. And I was insistent that I had to drive from Michigan to California. So day one, I drove Detroit area, and I got to Omaha, Nebraska, okay? It was a pretty solid 13 hours. Had a great meal at, it was a Days Inn, had a great meal. I remember at the Cracker Barrel, we have those here, right?
No tray. A Cracker Barrel.
May have had the famous dumplings. Anyway, so woke up at 5 in the morning, and I felt good. I felt I can do this. So when I was playing with the time zone, so I got to Denver 5 hours later. So I want you to think about it. I got to Michigan to Denver that fast, okay? Remember, some of the highway goes to 80 miles an hour, so I was doing 90. I'm feeling good. My mom, I had these horribly ugly, awesome polo shorts. They're like sweatshirt material.
Yeah.
And I had these horrible shoes called UABs. I can't remember, like for like walking, MDs or something like that. But the issue with the shorts is that the string broke. So every time I got out, I would hold it. So on top of that, my mom made me, all my luggage, I had a bag, like a Ralph's, not Ralph's here, Publix bag. My mom made me like sandwiches and all the pop I had. And so when I got to Denver, it said 300 miles to Vegas. And I said, I got this.
So meanwhile, you're getting out of your car and advertising as your shorts.
No, it's like this. It's like this.
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
Okay, so
so then you're off to Vegas.
So, but it really wasn't 300 miles to Vegas. It was 300 miles to Junction 15, another 200 miles to Vegas. So that day I drove 18 hours, okay? Gets better. So they find me a hotel on the Strip, and I've never been to Vegas. I'm a Michigan boy. So we end up, you know the Luxor? You know that hotel?
Yeah.
It's not that nice. I just thought it was cool. I just remember...
Carpeting, that's what I remember.
What's that? Carrot Top was the comedian in-house. Okay. Does anyone know who Carrot Top is? Yes. You're not missing much. Anyway, so I show up, I pull up, I just want to valet park the car, check in, and get room service. I pull up, the valet parking's full. Remember, I'm from Michigan. I mean, we still have nice places, but we don't understand valet parking is full. I didn't understand it. How can valet parking be full? They said, so you had to park. It was like a half a mile behind us. So I park my car, and I'm walking into the hotel with my Publix bag for reference and my shorts, and I'm walking in like this. Has anyone ever ended up, I know it's Shabbat, but when I left, it was a Friday night at 10 o'clock. Do you know how long the check-in line is at a Vegas hotel? It's like Hartsfield Airport on Thanksgiving. So there was like 200 people in line getting, and then that was my Vegas experience. Woke up, walked around for 5 minutes, went back to bed, and drove to California.
Yeah, and something about Victorville in the high desert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll just.
No, that's a good story.
Is it?
No, but has anyone ever seen the movie Star Wars? Do you remember the bar scene? Does anyone know what the bar scene is? It's where in the galaxy you find fascinating entities that exist in the world. So rabbinic student pulpits, you go out in the middle of the country. Mine happened to be Victorville, California, which actually has the highest rate of neo-Nazis. And on top of that, are very strange people. So I had people show up in Native American gowns with the Star of David and fascinating human beings. But I learned how to listen. But Victorville is known for fast food. People just get their food and drive to Vegas.
So you're in LA,
Sure.
and now we're going to segue to your family.
Okay.
So tell me how you and your wife got together. You didn't meet at a bar.
No, we didn't meet at a bar.
You met in Vegas at the Luxor.
So both of our parents have homes in Charlevoix, Michigan. We have people know what that is. That's for us, right around here. And my uncle and aunt, they're all Haredi, and they were davening. It was Shabbos, and so my mom felt bad. And Rachel happened to be over there with her dad and their friends. And so, and I knew Rachel's sister Shira. We actually, same first grade class. We graduated high school together. So my mom pulls her up to a side. She takes out the phone and says, "Here's a exactly."
They didn't have that in 1992.
And then she says, "This is a picture of my son. Will you go out with him?" But this is what she said, which I think is so messed up. She goes, "You're going to have to get the number from my dad." It's fitting we're talking about phone numbers. It's okay. So I call Rachel. She was heading back from Charlevoix to Los Angeles. She was finishing her second year in residency. And I said, "Hello, hello." She thought I was a telemarketer selling her solar. So she hung up, and I'm like, "Come on now." So I told my mom said, "Did you call her?" I'm like, "Yeah." She hung up. She's like, "Will you give her a call? Try it again." Tried again. The rest is history.
And so it was a resident at UCLA.
We started dating. It was like July. Actually, if you want, I have the text message to Mike and to Scott saying, "Call that doctor." She was a doctor. We're going out, Wednesday night, it was like July 16th or something.
That's awesome.
At the Coral Tree Cafe in Sepulveda, San Vicente in Brentwood, California.
Yeah. Brentwood, so that's O.J. Simpson, right?
Was.
But is that where you hung out? Is it his house? And
You can drive by it, yeah.
yeah.
So.
But that's the area for people who know L.A. It's near the.
It's near UCLA. It's west
Museum.
of the 405, just like we say the 280, the 405.
What's with that anyway?
Every highway in California is named.
Yeah.
So the San Diego Freeway, the Golden Gate, the 101, the PCH, it has character.
Right. I didn't have time to do the Tea Time movie, which I was tempted to do. But remember that Art Fern, and you go down the San Diego Freeway to the Santa Monica Freeway, you go to the fork of the road, and when you get to the fork of the road, you take it. Then you go down to the Slauson cutoff, get out of your car, cut off the Slauson, get back.
That's very good. That's what we
There we go.
in California talk about the roads.
Yeah, but they always say the San Diego Freeway.
No, they say the 5. They say the 5. The 405 and the 5. No one calls it by its name.
So you date for a year and a half,
Yep.
and then what happens?
Call her parents, ask for blessing, and then I told her I could go to a wedding in Michigan, and then I actually surprised her. I flew on a red eye. She also flew on a red eye. I was taking a nap, and I just went to go wake upstairs, and here's the ring, but yes, that was it. Everyone wants a story.
You act like you're surprised she said yes.
Today's marriage, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, I got it.
yeah, it's different now. There's no romance anymore.
Yeah.
Today, for my generation, there's no romance. Yeah, it's all formality. Okay.
Romance, you want to go watch the Alabama game? That's it for Alabama. So, you finish up in LA, and where do you go from there?
My first pulpit was in Cardiff by the Sea, which is North County, San Diego.
How was that?
People think when I interviewed for this position or other positions that how could I leave San Diego?
I thought that.
San Diego is a great place to visit. It's not a great place to live.
You don't surf.
Surfed once, broke my ribs.
I guess that's why it's a great place.
I don't like sharks either, yes.
But they have seals.
You can see them in La Jolla, they tend to smell, but it's the same shtick. They got the zoo, you can go to La Jolla, and there's no focus of community in San Diego. So.
But I think what's been impressive to all of us is that you talk to anybody in that congregation and they have outstanding things to say about you on every level. So
in San Diego?
Yeah.
I don't know if we call this I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. I haven't called it this. It said Gang Gazette. I don't know what that means exactly. But, so we'll finish up with this one episode that I'm not sure exactly how you ended up in Belarus, but maybe you can tell us about your experience in the former Soviet Union.
Okay, so one day we're all going to go on a trip to a country in the former Soviet Union, and it's going to be a mission trip. So your first year in rabbinical school, you have the opportunity to participate in the Pesach project, where you go for a week and you lead Passover Seders for marginalized Jewish communities, whether it's in Ukraine, St. Petersburg, and Belarus. And I wanted to go to Belarus because my great-grandmother, Anna Davis, Lillian Davis, my daughter, she came from a town called David Gorodor. Now, she wasn't Belarusian. She was a Jewish person forced to live there. And I want to make sure I'm clear, but I still wanted to go and see where we came from. And a lot of people, a lot of Jews, Ashkenazi Jews, like to romanticize that how great the old country was. Let me tell you what's great about the old country.
Get out of it.
Nothing. So if you really want to know, so we had...
it's a great place to be from.
Not even, yeah. So we had the opportunity to... we were in Vitebsk, which is the home of Mark Chagall, and we happened to go to a Belarusian zoo. Now, there's a big difference between the Bronx Zoo or the San Diego Zoo and a Belarusian zoo. So we saw a lion nearly on its verge of dying, okay? Just right, yeah, it was just quite horrible. And then my good friend Josh, he's a rabbi, we decided to go see the monkeys. But half the time we were watching the young Belarusian kids interact with the monkeys. And Belarusians usually wear like tight jeans and an Adidas jacket, and they all, for the most part, have horrible mullets. And there was a sign that said, "Do not feed the monkeys," okay? So Josh and I sit back, and it's a pure experiment watching human behavior. And these Belarusian teenagers start giving the monkeys gummy bears and gum, okay? So they're coming to the cage and shaking it and everything, and then another Belarusian decides to give the monkey a lighter, and there the lighter is, the monkey's playing with the lighter. I'm telling you, so that was one. You want more stories of that?
No, then some night you went to a club.
So they told us we weren't allowed to go out. This was in Minsk.
Minsk.
You been to Minsk before? Everyone says east of Pinsk, where you come from, right? Okay. So I love travel, I love airplanes, I love Rick Steves, and I just wanted to see everything. But they said we couldn't go out at night. Now in Belarus, we all had a fixer. Someone you went with to translate. Nobody speaks English. So I decided to go out with one of the fixers. The other two teams went with us too. Some of the team members got sick, so they went back with their fixer. So I was left with another fixer whom I really didn't know. Next thing happens is that she starts getting a fight with her boyfriend and leaves the bar, okay? And it was a fancy bar, and I'm all by myself, and it was like a country western theme bar, also with the sushi bar. A lot of things in Russia are weird. You'll go to like a casino, meets like a pool. It's really weird over there, okay? So Detroit Red Wings, and he wanted to tell me that, and then the rest is history.
You didn't get arrested?
I did not get arrested in the Belarusian, Minsk prison, which would have been short. We had a 5-day visa, that was it. So,
well, it's great that you're here with us. We've got to go to a commercial break. We'll be right back after this message.
Now, is that going to be with Jay or David?
Yeah. Thank you very much. we do have a few minutes here, and I can play like Stump the Band. If you remember that, when Johnny would go out in the audience and people would ask for a song. This time I can go out in the audience, and if you have a question, you can ask Rabbi anything about his past that he's willing to tell you or share. Yeah. So anybody want to break the ice?
Aaron Crickston.
Played with him.
Tell him.
I played tennis with Aaron Crixie, and he was the only Jew who lived in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. That was it. He had a big, good Jewish hairstyle too. So good man, good menschlichkeit.
I just want to say I love your socks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is that, did you get that at the rabbi store? Is there such a thing?
Yeah, it's all my student loans go to there. Yeah.
Other questions?
Seriously? Who wants to eat? Okay.
All right, yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you again for doing this. Here's Doc Severson.
Good afternoon. I'm Ginger Held, and I am president of the Grafman Endowment Fund. First of all, Michael, we want to thank you. For providing us a snapshot into Rabbi Wright's life beyond the beam. Okay. Also, after traveling with you for 2 weeks, I see a stand-up comedian in your future, but only after you cure infectious disease. Also, I'd like to thank Gail Baer, who chaired this, and her attention to details really ensured that we had a standing room only crowd today. Thank you. Also, I want to thank Jan and her staff for just coordinating it, making sure that we're all here, have food, and they're always so gracious. Thank you. And last, I want to thank Ronnie Hess. I know she's here. Ronnie, this year, has been the point person for transitioning Rabbi Wright and his family. And Ronnie, we really appreciate all that you've done to ensure a welcoming family.